Good morning, everybody. All right, so during this coronavirus pandemic, I decided that in addition to helping my clients on a normal routine basis, as I normally do, I wanted to also advance my education and share with you what I've been learning, or I should say relearning. I have a great interest in early American history, and I'm always trying to look at how situations of the past are similar in ways to the present, and how we can use the information of the past to the present, and also looking at how much things have changed in different ways over the many years of this country. Overall, the subject is just very interesting to me. And I think it's important as being a citizen of this country to really understand the ideas that the country was built on. And of course, the Constitution of the United States is pretty much the document that outlines, for the most part, all the basic things that the country was founded on. So I find it very interesting to read. And probably the most important point that I find with this document, there seems to always be a lot of discussion or controversy about it. And I can tell you for sure, it's by far from a perfect document, and it had some serious issues in it. But if you know me, I tend to like to look for what's good in something or what was right about something. In other words, if there's something out there in the world today that is doing 95% good, and there's some 5% not good about it, I personally believe it's better to look at what's good about something. Because honestly, I don't know anything in this world that's perfect. And I think perfection is one of those things that's in the eye of the beholder. Meaning it's a very personal, individual thing when we say, oh, that thing's perfect. This document, the Constitution of the United States, to me, it's not perfect. It never was perfect. But there are a lot of interesting things about it that I believe we as a country are very lucky to have as part of our basic fundamental legal system. Meaning, all the laws of the land essentially are based on this document in different ways. So last week I posted a video reading one specific point of the Constitution. It was the First Amendment point. I do recommend you watch that video before I go into this one, and I'll put the link down below, because in that one I go over a bit more about what the Constitution is, some of the parts, and how to understand it, and how it's broken into different pieces. And keep in mind, this isn't a professor college level discussion about the document. It's just so it's easier to understand and think with it, what it is, etc., how it's organized, things like that. Okay, so let's go over a couple things first. The Constitution, this document that I'm looking at right now, which is the basic founding document of the country, of the United States of America, was written 233 years ago. 233 years. Yes, times have changed. The world has evolved in many different ways since this document was written. But there's so much incredible information in here that is, I consider, timeless, meaning that it can be applied forever and ever and ever because it doesn't really relate to a specific time period. That's one of the other cool things about this document. So I'm going to start at the very top, and hopefully every day or every few days I'm going to get back to this and go through another section by section, until the entire document, we've read through it together, gone through it, and have a much better understanding of it. It's also important to understand the way this document was written 233 years ago. The writing style, the words that are used, aren't exactly the same as today, the way we would write exactly today. And that's a natural progression of time. Languages change, they're modified. There was no LOLs back then, laughing out loud, text messaging, for example, right? So languages change a bit over time. We add new words. Sometimes we stop using words. But in the field of legal and law, a lot of this language that's in this document is still used today. So that's something interesting to think about. Okay, so let's get started. So this first statement here, we the people. Now this is a very interesting phrase, and I'm sure you've seen it on t-shirts, bumper stickers, all over the internet, and pretty much anywhere where there's anyone that is really into the Constitution. It's my personal opinion that we the people is misused sometimes and misunderstood. So I'm going to tell you the way that I interpret this based on my study of this document. Okay, so we the people, up at the top here. I take this, my interpretation of this, based on the individual that wrote it, which I'm going to get into in a second. It's almost like it's an instruction to the citizens of the United States. When we say the phrase, we the people, we're referring to us as individuals and our role in this country. Of course, we are people. We the people refers to us. So I take this to mean, as an individual, as a citizen of the United States, I am one of those people that's referred to as we the people. But again, taking it on as my responsibility, taking ownership per se, of what this statement reads. So as we move, the next part of this is what's called a preamble. And you can see that right over here, preamble. So in the field of legal, in law, a preamble is something that states out the purpose of a document, the aim of the document. In other words, a preamble is something that's just used as a brief statement, a short statement that describes the whole document in a summary per se. So this preamble, that starts with we the people, is a basic description of the whole Constitution. And we're going to go through each point of it right now. So it starts with we the people of the United States. So United States, at the time that this document was put together, there were 13 states. In contrast, how many states do we have now? Technically, we have 50 states. So at that time, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maryland, South Carolina, New Hampshire, Virginia, New York, North Carolina, and last but not least, Rhode Island. That's 13 states. Yes, times have changed. Remember, this was about 233 years ago. So, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. So in this specific part, again, the preamble, it's more outlining the purpose of the document. So it's saying in order to form a more perfect union. And a union here is the group of states, union, coming together. So the goal here is to create an improved, more perfect, in the direction of making something perfect. That collection of states, as a group. And again, we as the people doing that and helping make that happen. So our goal is to make a more perfect country per se, a more perfect United States. And that's only the first few words. Let's continue. Next point, establish justice. So in terms of justice, again, this is the point that we have where how is wrong dealt with? How can one rectify their wrongs? Various laws and punishments, etc. Different types of justice. So the establishing of justice. Deciding, as a country, what's correct, what's not. What are we going to do, what's looked or frowned upon. Again, that falls back to we the people. Okay, let's move on. Ensure domestic tranquility. So the way I like to look at this, let's look at this again. Ensure domestic tranquility. So tranquility, this is like a calmness. And as we look at this statement, we, ensures bringing about, securing, holding on to, making sure. So essentially, and domestic point refers to the United States. So again, going back to we the people, it's our responsibility to ensure domestic tranquility, meaning doing our best and doing what we can to maintain a calmness. And I would go as far as to say that creating national alarm in the country would violate this very basic idea of what the purpose of the statement is, or what we the people are supposed to be doing. And I kind of look at this even like at the level of a business or a home. We could say that every person in the business, it was their responsibility to ensure that that things were tranquil, things were calm, things maintained cool. And no, we don't live in a perfect world. Not everything's calm all the time and perfect in every way, as I was saying earlier. But it's a goal to ensure that, to capture, as it states here, ensure, to capture, to hold. Bottom line is, with ensure, we want to secure that calmness. We want to maintain and secure and keep calm, if at all possible, at all times. And if I look at this a little bit deeper and I say, well, what's not tranquility? Not tranquility would be individuals throwing rocks and smashing things and being reckless. And tranquil, being more calm, would be, having a dialogue with somebody and sorting out a problem in a more professional way. And again, we don't live in a perfect world, and not everyone's going to be able to just sit down and be calm all the time. And my point is, again, we're reading this for what the purpose and working towards that more perfect union, that more perfect country. What can we do? So the next statement, provide for the common defense. So this simply means, again, we the people being responsible for this. It's our duty and responsibility. If we see something that is dangerous or harmful or hurting individuals that are citizens of this country, we provide for the defense of those. Now, it may be, how can this translate into modern times? Well, you have large-scale war, which involves a whole country. Then we have state level, city level, providing for the common defense. So to me, this could be as simple as if somebody's legal rights were being violated in some way, unjustly, it might be as simple as me, writing a letter to a state official and saying, hey, I saw this, I didn't like it, can we do something about it? Of course, there would be more words than that, but that would be a way of providing a basic common defense just as a citizen. But again, this whole statement starts with we the people. It doesn't say the President of the United States. It doesn't say the U.S. government. It says we the people. So this is our job. Whether you like it or not, that's the way this was written. Okay, next point. Promote the general welfare. Okay, so when we look at this point, promote the general welfare, in this usage here, promote refers to furthering the progress of something, encouraging something. So like when I'm out to dinner with my kids, I might promote good manners. If my kid throws his feet up on the dinner table when we're out at a restaurant, I'm going to promote good manners by encouraging, hey, let's not put our feet up there. That's really not very nice. Again, that's just a basic example. And then we think about promoting the general welfare. And welfare in this sense is the taking care of others, the helping of others, to ensure that others are doing well. This is my interpretation. So what could that mean as a person of the United States, as me, as a citizen of this country? This statement will make a little more sense as we read down a little bit further into this, but I'm sure you can think of some ways that you have in the past or ideas that you have to promote the general welfare of the country or your city or your state as a U.S. citizen. Maybe you made a donation to a group that goes around and cleans up the streets of a town as volunteers. Or maybe you joined a group that helps create laws that are very just and fair to the citizens of a state or the country. So by doing those actions, right, it's pretty easy to see that you're promoting, you're forwarding that, you are encouraging, a betterment, making things better. Okay, so let's go on to the next point. It says, secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. So in this sense, secure means to maintain, hold on to, not let be lost. And then blessings of liberty, and some people will read this differently, but blessings tend to have the meaning that, these rights have been granted to us from a higher power. And liberty, of course, is freedom, right? This concept of freedom, our ability to move around freely in this country, have free thought, and all the things that we're going to cover as we go through this entire Constitution over the many months. So main point is, it's our job, we the people, again, to secure these blessings of liberty, these great powers that we've been given through the creation of this document, and any other higher powers or gods or anything else that you believe in would fall under this great freedom that we have and how we attain it. And again, securing it, making sure we keep it, maintain it, hold on to it. And it says to ourselves, which is us, and our posterity, which is the future generations of this country, which includes our children, then our grandchildren, and all the way into the future. So this is meant to be something that goes generation after generation after generation. Okay, so next part, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Okay, so ordain is to say something very officially. So when this entire Constitution was signed in the year 1787, he's saying do ordain, meaning it is becoming official. This whole thing is becoming like the main document of the country officially. So it's ordained and established this Constitution of the United States. And if you saw my earlier video, the idea of the Constitution, a Constitution is just a thing that has many parts to it. And if you've ever taken a look at the Constitution, it has many parts. It covers a lot of things. And again, no, it's not a perfect document. There were major issues with it at points in time, in my opinion. But overall, it's really a neat document, and I consider myself and anyone in this country extremely lucky that we have a country that had these basic founding ideas in it. And again, there's a lot that I'm going to be going over as we go through this entire document over the next few months. Well, I hope you have a better understanding of the preamble, but I'm also going to add a few other neat things about it. So the guy that wrote the preamble, his name was Gouverneur Morris. You may not have heard of him very much, but he's technically one of the founding fathers. And when we say founding fathers, we're referring to the guys that sat around and they all argued and went back and forth. And some of them had really extreme views one way. Some of them had really extreme views another way. Then they all got together and founded this document. They put it together, they decided this is what it's going to be, collectively and together. Gouverneur Morris was from the Bronx, New York. And like all of the founding fathers of this country, they have stories about their life. I'll let you do the research on that. Another important thing to know about this, again, this preamble, this statement that defines the purpose of this document, is that it's not considered the law of the land. In other words, it does not define government power or individual rights. And that's why when I read it, I look at it more as, hey, we the people, again, me as an individual, this is our responsibility, this is our job, each one of these points in this preamble, in this basic text here, it's our responsibility to use these as part of our role of being a U.S. citizen. Well, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I should note, I have a very small amount of time to do these videos, so I'm going to create them as often as I can and continue this, as I'm still maintaining and running a business and ensuring my clients are taken care of. But thank you for the time for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I look forward to being on the other side of the coronavirus pandemic. Have a great day.